All right, next video.
For many of us, we are born and we live normal, that is.
Except I don't want to have two videos at once. Sorry, everyone.
Render us different. But as we all know,
let's start over.
For many of us, we are born and we live normal, that is, without any genetic deformities or conditions.
Ah,
Don't worry.
frustration.
For many of us,
we can edit still.
Without any genetic deformities or conditions that would render us different. But as we all know, some people are born with genetic defects or develop conditions that make them different from the rest of the world. Here are 10 villages in which those differences are sometimes the norm.
What is this?
I'm like, where are they
Number
going
10,
with this? Whoa!
Auroras, the Brazilian village that can't handle the sun.
Whoa.
People
Brazil
can't
is
go
known for
outside.
its sun-loving, beach party-going people. But in one remote, Midwestern Brazilian village known as Auroras, a large group of the population suffers from a condition that causes their skin to melt away when touched by the sun.
What?
And an incidence rate of 1 in 40 people developing the disease known as xeroderma
This is like
pigmentosa,
the Wicked
known
Witch
as
of the West
XP.
in real life.
Auroras has 20
Right?
out of 800 residents who have XP, making it the largest population of XP sufferers in the world at a
And then in
statistically
Brazil, they
improbable
get a
rate.
lot of sun.
Experts claim
Yeah.
that the exorbitantly high incidence rate is caused by the fact that the settling families of Auroras all possess the defective gene that caused this disease. But it only became clearer as those families intermarried and interbred. The
Oh,
worst part is
inbreeding,
that Auroras
okay.
is a farming community, with such a high rate of residents unable to continue farming because of their skin developing blisters, tumors, and boils when exposed to sunlight. There has been a heavy toll on farming production. Many residents have been left struggling to find a new form of livelihood.
They're probably nocturnal.
Number 9.
Yeah, I've always thought about nocturnal people like as a thing, as a future evolutionary thing where people
In
will live
March
at night.
2013, almost 1/4 of the residents of 2 Kazakhstani villages, Kalachi and Krasnogorsk, started falling asleep out of the blue in this pair of small, dusty
What?
settlements on the
So they
outskirts
have
of the
narcolepsy?
Kazakh steppe. Some
No.
residents were
Or a
reported to
gas
pass
leak.
into
Yeah,
They're
it's
just
more
real
like
sleepy.
days at a time.
Everybody just
They
gets
pass
real
out in the middle of the
sleepy.
day
more
while
like
walking
air
or working
pollution
and wake
just
up to
going on,
headaches,
really.
memory loss, fatigue, and overall weakness.
I wonder,
all the
is this
downsides
near
of a hangover
Chernobyl?
without the pleasure of overdrinking the night before.
Not really.
The demographics in the villages were affected.
that a cat?
From children
Is this
to
near the
senior citizens
101?
to cats and dogs. Some
There you
children
go.
claimed that they had nightmares of winged horses and snakes and worms eating their hands.
What? Okay, let's not overlook the snakes and horses eating your arms and legs.
Some attributed the effects to the consumption of counterfeit vodka. Because what else can be in a town full of Russian ancestors?
Let's not overlook the fact that you might just be hungover. Oh yes, I think there are many Americans that
But
suffer
finally, in
from this too.
2015, after analyzing the medical results of all residents, researchers found that the random bouts of sleep were caused by high levels of carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons floating in the air.
Okay.
They came
The
from the
air.
hastily closed
Yeah.
Soviet uranium mines nearby.
Oh, the
These
mine.
Uranium! Oh, I knew it, I knew
Number
it.
8. Woolsfleth, the German cancer village. In the small village of Woolsfleth in northwestern
You would
Germany,
move.
a tiny population of
I shall no longer live in the
Germans
cancer
also
village.
Yeah, I
One
feel
thing
that.
makes this average village stand out. In almost every single household lives a cancer victim.
Oh, no.
Statistically, residents of Woolsfleth have a 50% greater chance of developing cancer than everyone else for reasons
The
that no one
water,
can figure
the
out.
air. Like
Right,
I
Some
would
residents
move.
Factory
on the
nearby?
three
I would go
line
one
with
town
power
over.
plants, with one
Totally.
of them standing in the direction that the wind blows. Unfortunately,
It looks like there's another town in the
Exactly.
background somewhere that they can hang out
Let's go
in.
to
Other
Vel's
possible
step.
causes such as the toxic spray paints once used at the neighboring shipyard,
Toxic
and
spray-
Shipyard,
pesticides
okay.
used in farming. They found no evidence that could lead to a certain single cause. It's also
No
possible
certain
that the
single
residents
cause?
of Woolsfleth are suffering from the screening effect. Since they are more
That'd be
afraid
so
of developing
sad, right?
cancer,
To, like,
they are
die
more
and get
likely
cancer
to
just
get
because
themselves tested for
people,
it,
like,
thus
pollute
explaining why so
the
many
river
have been
near your
found to have
house.
cancer. Either way,
Ugh.
when around
Move-
142
move
cancer
people.
cases exist in a village
late.
of 1,500
Wow.
residents, it doesn't take a genius to see that something's different.
Yeah, something's wrong, y'all.
Thanks,
Number
robot
7.
boys.
Hagui, Dementia Village.
Hagui.
Oh, no.
Instead
everyone
of
has
throwing their
dementia.
afflicted
But this is
elderly
cool,
in a
though.
nursing home that
What?
feels more
What?
like a living
watch.
person cemetery, a group of healthcare workers in Amsterdam decided to create an entire village where dementia patients could live
Oh,
out the
they
rest
brought
of their
them
lives.
there.
in normal
Oh, so they
conditions.
moved dementia people
Meet
there.
Hagui, the village
Oh,
where
that's
everyone
really
is either a
sweet.
dementia patient but doesn't know it or a healthcare worker
Oh,
acting
that's
out of
kinda
diligence
nice.
by working at the village salon,
This is so
grocery store,
sweet.
restaurant, or movie theater.
So no one's gonna like call the police
Family
on
members and
grandpa when
friends
he
of the
walks out
patients are
without
free
his
to visit
pants.
as often as they like.
Totally.
With less hands
I want to
on
move
care,
there when I get
freedom of
dementia,
relationship,
right? I mean, that seems like the
Hopefully
place.
you don't.
to send their dementia-afflicted grandfather. or
Dementia might
grandmother
just be
to
a
the
thing of
village
the
and
past
send them to
someday.
a regular
It might
care
be.
facility. A wall surrounds the village, and if anyone accidentally starts wandering toward one of the doors, a staff member comes and suggests that they try another route.
This is just like a big senior citizen
Yangtze,
home.
Right.
village of the dwarfs.
Totally.
Oh,
Yangtze, a remote village in China's Sichuan province, has earned the unusual moniker of Dwarf Village. Over the last century, Yangtze has had a highly disproportionate number of residents affected by stunted growth. About 40% of
So, you guys heard that rumor about Long Beach having like a hidden, like little people town?
Oh, really? Is it true?
No, it's not true.
Oh.
But everyone always talks about it. But now, like, a place might actually exist.
it's not even hidden.
Yeah, but I've always heard that rumor about Long Beach, like there's a little people
back to
town.
1911, with an English scientist in 1947
I mean,
claiming that he had seen hundreds of
Hollywood
dwarfs
definitely
living
has
in
a
the
lot
Valley
of little
Yangtze.
people because of the entertainment
Usually,
industry.
a person only
Yeah.
had
It would make
one
sense that they would,
20,000 chance of having stunted
live in a
growth,
community
meaning that the
together
number of
somewhere,
dwarfs
or
in
some of them
Yangtze
would
is
want
almost
to.
statistically
And
impossible.
then they moved to
Though no
Yangtze.
one knows why this is, several theories have been brought up and debunked. One suggested a high concentration of mercury in the soil, which hasn't been proven. Another theory claims that it's a bad feng shui of evil spirits in the
No!
area for not having
They're
buried their
evil, so
ancestors
they're not
properly.
tall. Oh no.
Yet another theory.
Okay,
that
I'm
was
also
described as
pretty
a
sure
legend
that
is
this
one day,
YouTube
a
video we're
long time
watching
ago,
might
a
have
man
been
named Wang
completely
found a
made by
black
an
turtle
AI.
strange
No.
to him. When
No,
everyone else
he-
suggested that he let it go,
I like how he
decided
shows
to
no
cook it and
feeling
eat it,
when he
thus
talks
cursing the
about
village
it.
forever.
I wonder if they're gonna bring it
Oh,
back.
that's my
Reaction of
theory.
Yangtze
There's-
village
it's a
curse.
It's a curse?
It's a curse.
Uh-huh.
Ah, they've been hexed.
Number 5.
That's if you think being a little person is a
the island
curse.
where everyone lives long.
See, that's how you know it's a
Lifelong.
curse.
The average
Hold on,
American
let's hear that again.
Everyone lives
to
long.
fall under this supposed curse. Number 5. Icaria, the island where everyone lives long.
I love
I want to
it.
move to
The
Itaria.
average American lives to age 79, but on the Greek island of Icaria,
Oh,
1 in
it's
3
Greek.
residents live
Somebody
to
was
age
making
90,
a funny
with others
joke I
reaching
read
their
was
seminarian years,
that like,
named
oh,
after the boy who
Europeans,
flew
blah
too
blah
close
blah,
to the
red
sun.
wine,
Icaria
olive
could
oil,
probably
live
thank
longer,
us,
or
which
maybe
is
it's
one of
because
the
they have
reasons where
socialized
everything
healthcare.
is
Oh,
Like a healthcare
Good
system.
healthcare.
That works.
So many people here are afraid of going to the doctor because they don't want to have to pay a lot of money for it.
Oh, 100%. Of course, I don't
Another
go. I don't have
possible
health
reason for the
insurance. I
long
can't
lives
afford
is
to
their
go.
diet. Still almost entirely removed from the
That's not how it is
westernized
in
world,
Ikara.
their diet
No.
has stayed consistent
They just
in a
play
world of
backgammon
refined
and they
sugars
smoke
and
cigarettes
fast
too.
food
They look like
with a
Santa
focus
Claus.
on
Roll cool
foods
beer.
and
Right.
vegetables that contain
Yeah, those
10
are
times
dope
more
beers.
Play
antioxidants
with
than
the
red
kids.
wine, potatoes, goat's milk, and not too much meat or sugar. Icaria
Not
is
too
known
much
as one of
meat
the
or
world's
sugar.
blue
Okay,
zones,
that's all. We
areas
already
where
know that's
people live
good.
longer than the
I've heard
rest
of these
the
blue
world.
zones. There's a
And
place in
not only do
Japan,
they
there's a
live
place
longer,
in
but
Like
they live
Switzerland or
healthier.
something.
Most of their deaths happen
Utah.
naturally rather
Yeah.
than through abrupt
Oh,
illnesses
all
or
those
outside
lives keep them
diseases.
happy.
Number 4. Velikaya Kopania, land of the twins.
Say that 5 times.
There we go. This is what I'm
Velikaya
talking about.
Kopanya.
The village of
Velikaya
Velikaya
Kopanya.
Kopanya
Very nice.
is
Velikaya
the
means
named
big.
land of the twins for the
Oh,
record-breaking
this is
percentage
cute.
of twins in its population, with 61 pairs of twins out
Wow.
of 4,000 residents.
I think
It's
twins
not
are
a new
fun.
phenomenon. The
I
common
do too.
occurrence
They're
of
so
twins in the
cute. Look
village
at
You're
has
not the
been happening
parent.
for at least 3
Imagine-
generations.
maybe you wanted it.
As birth
Imagine
records
3 sets
earlier
of
than it no
twins.
longer exists.
And you just
So
want
6
3
kids?
No one
yeah.
knows exactly what's causing the unusually high number of twins. It's been found that not only is it occurring in
I think
humans, but
fraternal
also
twins
in
are cool,
cows,
and there's a
with
boy and a
cows giving
girl.
birth to twin calves.
That's what I
think.
at a
Cows
high
give
rate
birth?
as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they said. Even the cows give birth to twins.
What?
It's something in the milk.
Yeah.
One local story tells of a woman who lived in a town over 160 kilometers away who couldn't give birth. When she traveled to Velikaya Kopanya to drink from their well, she got pregnant within a few months and gave birth to a set of twins.
What? You
It's
know
a- it's a
what?
tale. It's not
So it's a blessing on the land. The blessing fertility.
Hoping to catch
Double
some of the magic
fertility.
twin gene.
Parallel universe
Like
fertility.
an
Number
angel
3,
came and blessed the
Bengala,
land.
the village where everyone speaks sign language.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's
In the
not
US,
in the air.
around 2 or 3 out of every 1,000 births will be a deaf or partly deaf child. In Bengkala, a small village in northern Indonesia, 42 of its 3,000 residents have been deaf since birth. This unusually high rate of deafness is attributed to a geographically centric recessive gene called DFNB3, which the village has had for over 7 generations.
See, that AI just looked that up like in real time as he was making the
Unlike
But
video.
the
the rest
fact
of the
that
world,
it's 42
it's no longer seen
kids
as a
or 42
detriment.
people
Instead, the
out of
deaf,
1,000
or
and they
colored,
all
are
decided to
treated the
learn
same as
sign
everyone
language.
else.
That's
How
so
like
nice.
children learn in school beside hearing children.
I'm gonna shut the
And
window.
everyone knows
We can
the
keep it
ancient
running, it's
local
cool.
sign language known as
Alright.
There's a
Gaelic.
dog barking.
Recessive gene aside, locals believe that deafness is a curse from a certain legend in which 2 people
Up to the
Oh,
turn,
yeah.
took a
cursed each other
turn.
with deafness.
It's a lot of
And that the name
curses
the
in
village
this. Yeah.
of Bengkala means a place for
This
someone.
AI believes in
And then
curses.
as they show this adorable little boy, they're like,
And
oh,
residents
it's a
think of
curse.
the colic is physically strong, more resilient, honest, and loyal. Colic guards are also known for coming to work earlier than hearing guards, and colic guards are stricter than their hearing counterparts, beating criminals for longer and harder because they can't hear the screams.
Wow.
A real dark
Totally.
When most of us are
It keeps getting weirder. Okay, we can stop for a second and talk about what that person just
Yeah,
said.
like they make torturers because they can't hear your screams.
So they're good for prison guards because they're gonna really dig into that.
Because they can't tell you're suffering.
They can't hear your screams. Oh, your kid's screaming. I can't hear you.
Deaf people make the best psychopaths.
Oh my god.
I just think this AI is making a lot of like judgments on people, you know, stereotyping.
I'm sure it's reading this.
All the curses.
I don't know. I really think this was all made by an AI. Like it was just like, oh, I should make a YouTube video, and then it just did a little research on YouTube videos, started making top 10
someone
videos.
put just an algorithm, look for unusual, villages or whatever.
They know the algorithm to make us watch.
Right.
By looking between our legs, but in the
Let's
small,
go back.
doctor can tell the town of the lake penises. When most of us are born, the doctor can tell right away whether we're a boy or a girl by looking between our legs. But in the small, remote village of Salinas in the Dominican Republic, some boys don't grow their penises until they reach puberty, with their families believing.
I'm surprised he's not calling them penises.
Wait, what?
The condition is a rare genetic disorder caused by a missing enzyme. It results in a late surge of testosterone that only comes at the age of puberty, which forms their penis at the same time as the deepening of their voice. In Salinas, these boys are known as huevedosos, translated as penis at 12. They happen as regularly as every 1 out of 90 boys, with them growing up with less facial hair and smaller prostate glands. They were only medically discovered in 1970, but in Salinas, it's been happening for as long as anyone can remember. Now they're medically referred to as pseudohermaphrodites, which is thankfully not as bad as today's resurgence among youth of pseudophilosophicals.
Okay.
What was all of that?
Why is this AI like trying to tell jokes though?
No, I feel like that was some like anti-lib trans stuff that they just threw in there.
Yeah,
Right?
they're like, oh yeah, you're pseudo-hermaphroditical.
Yeah,
But-
like your fake transness, right? Like
This is
I don't know.
intense.
Is that what it sounded like?
It
So,
sounded
so how would you even know that your son is a son? So
You wouldn't
like,
know.
One day your daughter just becomes a boy.
That's what they were saying. Some of these villagers raise their children thinking that it might be a girl, and then once puberty hits, they find out that.
Their daughter is a boy. Yeah. This is so intense. But I feel like low key, I feel like a lot of the like people here in America that are like, oh, let's not gender the children. They probably don't love this because they're like, let your child be who they want to be, and then they choose at puberty.
Well, this is a good example about, they talk about gender being something we created. That's not the term I want to use, but you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. A social construct.
A social construct, because like these children that are being raised as girls, they're like gender-wise are being treated as females, and then it turns out physically they might have been more towards male. That makes more sense with this, right?
They later become more male, but yeah, they're more female until they become a man.
But gender-wise, I wonder if they still want to be treated as female, some of them. Even after they get their penises.
That's interesting. But or maybe they're just like, they may have always felt like a boy, but now they finally look like the boy that they've already felt like. You can go either way.
Yeah, that's what
I'm sure it probably goes always.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Number 1. Antioquia, the village where the elderly care for their children's Alzheimer's.
The children's.
In most of the world, it's the children who take care of their parents when their minds sadly begin to regress into diseases like Alzheimer's. But in one mountainous village in northwestern Colombia, people do the opposite. In the small village of Antioquia, over 5,000 people are afflicted with early onset Alzheimer's, making it the world's largest population of Alzheimer's sufferers. This is due to many centuries of inbreeding in the village, resulting in the consistent passing down of a defective gene that causes what is known as the Payson mutation. The mutation is aptly named after the residents of that area who are known as Paisos. This congregation of Alzheimer's sufferers has led to multiple cases where elderly parents in their 70s and 80s are forced to take care of their children, who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. The children developed Alzheimer's at a young age, almost the reverse of every other place in the world. Researchers in the area use the village as a testing ground for Alzheimer's. One researcher studied brains at his local brain bank, where families donate the brains of their late Alzheimer's afflicted relatives to aid in the research of this disease. Unfortunately, no headway other than preventative treatment has been made.
Well, they said the inbreeding. If you guys would stop the inbreeding, I'm sure that would help.